Welcome to today's session this morning on county energy futures, a vital part of our larger conversation on financing equity and inclusion. Our host, as I'd mentioned earlier, is the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, and together we will explore how we can re-engineer our county governments to accelerate development and close the socio-economic divide. Ladies and gentlemen, I have not forgotten to introduce myself, but my name is Norman Mudibo, a trained journalist, communication professional, and I'm glad to be your moderator for the next two sessions. Now, our discussions this morning will be split into two powerful panels. I would want to imagine. I've looked at the experts, I've looked at those who constitute these two, and they are men and women who are very intelligent. So looking forward to having a very insightful conversation. I'm looking forward to also learning, educating as I do this. So therefore, both will be focused on the critical role our county governments play in bringing this vision to life. First, ladies and gentlemen, we will delve into the LPG growth strategy and infrastructure. We will explore the national plan to increase the use of liquefied petroleum gas, otherwise referred to as LPG, and how counties can become key players in this effort. We will, because we have the regulator here, examine the regulatory frameworks and infrastructure needed to make this a reality at the local level. How is EPRA supporting the transition through regulation as Kenya implements this particular blueprint based on what I've been able to mention in terms of the key objectives and the key pillars around LPG infrastructure, LPG for schools, subsidized cylinders, and of course, legal and regulatory reforms where EPRA then comes in.
The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority is established in the Energy Act of 2019, and it also carries out the mandate of the Petroleum Act of 2019, that is CAP 314 and CAP 308. And the main function is for the authority to regulate the technical and economic sector, petroleum and energy sector in the country. Now, today we are here for LPG, just now to bring things into context. Now, in 2023, we had COP28. So from the global position, we know that we do not work as a country alone. We work with other nations. So in COP28, in the COP which was held in 2023 in Dubai, it was agreed that all countries need to increase energy efficiency, and 200 countries committed to this. And once they committed to this, one of the key areas which was accepted was clean cooking. So in Sub-Saharan Africa, it was agreed that they will increase or promote clean cooking across the continent. At least by 2030, most of the population will have access to clean cooking. That is now globally. Now we come down, and LPG was seen as one of the key drivers to achieving this.
How are counties then enabling LPG adoption, either through the plans that we have, strategies or initiatives? How are you doing that? So that then, because this is, you can call it probably the last mile sort of initiatives, and I'd want to believe that is what it is, so that then we are able to achieve, those targets that I alluded to earlier. So I'd want you to make a comment before now I go to Bona Eli to just also add on to what you'll be able to say. So Bona Wilfred Bayer.
Energy is a shared function between the two levels of government, that is the county government and the national government. And the counties, for now, they have been developing their county energy plans looking on the aspect of supply and demand, with a focus on clean cooking, especially in the adoption of LPG. So what counties have been doing, we have been looking on the expenditure analysis in terms of cooking at the county level, that is within the rural, peri-urban and urban areas. So you realize in our country, Kenya, most of our households at the rural areas, they spend zero on fuel. So if you introduce LPG at the grassroots level or within the rural areas, you are going to get zero results because people are not spending any money. So in our planning, we have looked on the urban areas and peri-urban areas as specific areas whereby LPG can be one of the most solutions within the cooking sector.
Having listened to, Wilfred, how then can we be able to leverage this kind of infrastructure, as has been alluded to really entrench these community-driven models to just ensure that we are able to scale, LPG access and use? I mean, your association is all about promoting and ensuring that, clean energy is not only accepted, but we are able to walk the talk.
Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, for those who may want to know more, is a member-based association or organization that draws its membership from the private and the public sector. We are a non-profit making organization, and our mandate is to champion clean cooking, and also we support in cooking sector coordination. Our aim is to create a sustainable policy and market environment that enables access and adoption of clean cooking solutions, both at household level, at institutional level, and also clean cooking for commercial use. So for this to happen, as CCAK, as we are commonly known, we anchor our operations under 5 strategic pillars. The first one being policy, advocacy, and representation, where we look at how we can work with the different governments, both the national and the country level, to be able to have favorable policies that can favor implementation of clean cooking initiatives. We also have research, innovation, and knowledge management, our second strategic pillar, where we focus on knowledge management for sector utilization. We have another third pillar, which we refer to as standards and technical support, where in most cases we work with Kenya Bureau of Standards and EPRA to ensure that we have quality standards, or we have quality products in the market that will fulfill the needs of end users when it comes to cooking.
From an industry perspective, what are some of those opportunities and challenges that you have seen experienced as we push the expansion of LPG access across Kenyan counties before we come to the regulator?
So when we go to opportunities, we realize that the uptake is good. With the reduction of taxes, that is VAT, which we really appreciate the government stepped in, has been able to help us to move gas to the rural sector. We came up with a strategy called Men Gas Mashinani. Men Gas Mashinani, we went through women groups who would co-guarantee each other to be able to acquire gas. So you'd find that they're buying 10 pieces and they would co-guarantee each other, so that if you're not able to pay, they pay for you. And by that, we made them stockists. I remember there's a lady called Grace somewhere in Mbale. Grace was a retired teacher. We went there. Personally, those days I used to go for marketing. We approached Grace. She had a small shop. And when we told her to stock gas, she was like, no, I don't have enough money. We told her, we'll start you up. So we gave her 10 cylinders, the small ones, and about 5 of the big ones. Interestingly, on the first month, Grace was able to bag a net income of 11,000. Grace was so amused, and she was so happy that in all her life, as a retired teacher, she had tried business, but she had never been able to save that much. So along the way, She continued doing business. Today, Grace is earning a minimum of 86,000 shillings as a retired teacher. We call her Mengas ambassador because it's a true story. It's really touching because we were able to change her life. We also did what is called Mengas Vitongoji. We went through Kisumu. We looked for guys who were able to stock cylinders, and we pushed them. And we ran a project with EPRA far back in the year 2022, which I would like EPRA to revisit. For you to be able to sell gas within Kisumu County, you had to be given a stockist license or a stockist certificate, and that one would only come from a brand owner. So together with the Kisumu County, we were able to instill some discipline in the business of doing LPG. Because if you went there, you'd be told, whose product are you selling? Do you have their license? And we realized from that point again, EPRA went into licensing each and every step of doing business. So for you to be a transporter, you must be licensed. For you to carry the bulk, you must be licensed. For you to have a shop, you must be licensed. Even for you to drive that vehicle which is transporting gas, you must be licensed.
Stella, there's some issues that Stanley has raised. Being an investor in this sector, yes, he has alluded to some successes, but there's still some challenges, which also Ellie mentioned. Wilfred, Stanley has said saa zingine munakaa ngumu. So hapo been thrown under the bus. But I guess that these are issues that will be addressed so that then we are able to move forward. Stella.
Thank you, Norman. I think I will first start with what Mr. Ellis said on safety of LPG. One of the mandates of the regulator is to inspect all accidents that emanate from the sector. And when we investigate LPG accidents, safety, I can almost say 70% comes from handling, poor knowledge of handling, all the accidents we have investigated. And I can give, like in Nyeri, we have 3 cases where we have lost children. Small babies have been left, mothers have left the gas burning, they go and do other things with babies in the house, then the babies burn to death. So the handling is a challenge, and our public education team is actively involved in that. So I think even the handling safety, I think the language you use must be very careful, such that we do not get the mentality that maybe the cylinder is not safe. The handling has been a problem because sometimes someone just decides to gift people LPG but does not tell them how to use the LPG. So handling is an issue. And then the appliances like the burner, we find that sometimes people get low quality. But as I said in the beginning, Legal Notice 101 of 2025, the quality of accessories which are going to be used in LPG, if they're found to be not out of standards, then the one selling them will be held culpable. On physical planning, I think that was something I am happy that Stanley mentioned it. I wanted to mention it, but I'm happy that it came from the investor himself. I think that is an area where counties really need to focus on, because investors into these counties will not come where they feel like the investments are going to be used as prey and they're not going to be supported. So if counties are going to look at investments as prey to raise revenue, then I think counties, we really need to look into this. And the other challenge which investors have in the sector is that counties, unfortunately, sometimes do not really follow what is in the CIDP, especially when it comes to physical planning. Because you find that an area has been designated as industrial, a light industry area, and then within, maybe because it's a political regime, it is instantly changed to a residential area. And this investor was here before. So now, when we're doing our audits, we find that the safety distances are not being met. And then now the people who have come there after he had made his investments, they start saying he's not safe. Don't mind that they're the ones who found him there. And then again, owing to safety requirements, it is not safe. So this is the physical planning departments of counties really have to look into this. It is important to put long-term plans which can assure investors that the investments they're making are going to be safe.
I would like to just ask the second round of panelists to just be ready, and then we proceed in the next 1 minute or so as these very distinguished panelists exit the stage.